Might be why older people aren't as new to new ideas as young people are. And it's actually, this stems from a conversation I had with a friend recently, and the friend said, so I was like, yeah, but you could try this new thing. And the friend was like, yeah, but if I tried this new thing, this would mean that it would take mental energy and also time away from everything I already do. And that's the thing. It's not like I have thought about this very often, I guess, or I thought about this very often, but it's pretty clear. I mean, I think the assumption of young people is that they are not in a state where they are like they think, and also because I am still young and I also was already young, you think that you can do more. You can that the day doesn't have 24 hours, that you don't need to sleep a certain amount of hours a day, that you can maybe skip one meal or the other, and that you can do things much faster, and then that everything can be much more efficient. But the thing is, there are just things that are fixed. The amount of sleep is fixed. Once you figured out what the ideal amount of sleep is, that's just fixed. Therefore, you cannot just pull an all-nighter and expect you to be like productive on the next day, or you just cannot go dancing all night long and then expect the next 2 days not to be like totally wasted, and not only wasted yourself, but also like, I mean, the time is just gone just for this one night. The time of 2 days is maybe gone. And I think the older you get, and also because many older people, of course, also have children, and therefore they just have something else in their life that just requires a lot of time, and therefore they have the constraint of now not only managing their own time, but also managing their children's time, but also constraining their own time to the time that's left over, because you still have to have time for their children also now, and it's not like you can plan or you can use up all your time for yourself, basically. So now, what I'm trying to say is this. Once you figured out how things work, how you kind of work, you just figured things out, and then it's just like, yeah, it's just like the next day, and it's just like the next day, and then there's the next day. And if you now would introduce something new, it would take time and attention away from the things you already at least try to optimize. I mean, it's not that anybody here is trying to do the baddest thing or the worst thing that's possible with sleep, for example, or with nutrition, for example. I mean, everybody is trying their best, and assuming something different is just nonsense, I guess, because why would anybody try to make their situation actively worse? If they are actively making the situation worse, it's probably not because they want to do this thing, but they just cannot do it any differently, and it's their best try. And therefore, many people, and also now spanning again to the older people again, not spanning, I tried to do a German phrase in English, but it didn't work, so coming to the older people again, what I think is this: the more years you live, the more you figure stuff out. You realize that it's just another day, and it probably will work the same as every other day. Also, habits become really strong as you get older, because you do the things the same. And the more you do the things the same, the more they become, the less conscious they become, and the more subconscious they become. They basically become automated routines. But not only from this standpoint, but also from the perspective of just time management. I mean, you could theoretically say that you have like that 30% of your time is waste time, but that's something you probably also have to accept at some point in time. If 30% of your time is waste time, then it's not like, yeah, and then there's this new thing coming, and you are like, yeah, and I have all this waste time, and now I can just use it. Because, I mean, why didn't you use the waste time before if you could then, like, from one day to the other? It's not that you didn't try to use the waste time, like watching stuff on Netflix, or following other people for no reason whatsoever apart from admiring them, or I don't know what you do in your private time. But the thing is, the assumption that people already figured out how to do the things they need to do every single day gets kind of more true the older you get. Of course, there are also people that are very young that already figured out how things already work. But the thing is, the more I think the older you get, the more you start to realize that things there. It's also the psychological thing of the more you know things. I mean, the longer you have lived, the higher the chances that you already encountered this particular situation before. I mean, you probably try to implement this new thing or new things like, I don't know, 25 times. That's just a random number that doesn't make any sense here, but you probably already tried things like this, and you realized at some point that this only takes time and attention away from the things you already tried to do. And this is why there might be a gap in the potential or the mental availability for trying out new things when it comes to people of different ages.